So yeah, this radio, check this out, see what the hell is going on with the damn radio. And I had to screw this thing on because it wasn't lining up properly, and then this side broke off or whatever. So I gotta screw that off right quick. Alright, so there we are. This is what we're looking like right now. Do a volt test on it, and we'll see what happens from there. Alright, so upon investigation on the back of this radio, you can see that pin right there. Almost looks similar to the scenario with the micro relay with the lights. Too much heat, the area around the connectors melts. I'm pretty sure there's some damage in the inside of this radio. I'll go ahead and give it a shot, but I'm gonna do a volt test on that pin first to see what we got going on. Okay, before I even got to multimeter out, I can see for sure this is what the issue is. The heat deformed the plastic where the pins go, and I guess for a certain period of time, as the heat was malforming the plastic, it was a little bit of a connection happening, but then again, the heat continues to deform the plastic and the metal does not touch as to why it was intermittent, and eventually it just stopped. So I have to figure out why that is. I'm not sure what the grade of this is. I'm sure it's probably not nylon. And I would think that, okay, this is by the heat vents, right? So the heat, you would think, would maybe be a problem for that, but this is a single connector here, or a group of connectors. So there's too much heat that's being drawn through here, and I think I know what it is. The augs are probably too thin. Okay, this is probably too thin of a wire to transfer, because I would notice it would be fine if I play it on low volume, right? And then I would raise the volume up, and guess what would happen? It would just cut off, right? Probably too much heat, too much going through. But I know that 12 volt is a constant. Yeah, this is to be the 12 volt, which should be constant. Oh man, so this happened before. Wasn't an issue with stock. The last radio I had aftermarket ran for at least 6 months. I know it was more than a couple months, but eventually the same thing happened. The subs went out, and then that radio went out, and I replaced it. And the first one, like I think I put it in backwards or something like that. But now I got to figure this out. So, you know, this is the part of the game, figuring out how things work. Engineering, it's beautiful, but it is also painful. So that's the dashboard thing there. I'm gonna look into this. I'll probably leave the dashboard off, and I'm gonna see if I can get another dash from the junkyard that is in better condition than what I have, so I can do a better job on that seal up top of those screws. So alrighty, so I broke the radio down a little bit, and I looked at the connectors on the board itself. They look fine. Even on the back here is fine. It's a little burnt on the opposite side, and then we can tell from the connector coming from the car, the aftermarket connector, it's deformed from heat. Okay, so I pushed that connector in, so for sure it would touch, and we have power. It's operating fine. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to play moderately loud music, I guess, supposedly to, I guess, increase amperage to voltage to this thing to see what happens. But I remember one day I was driving for a decent amount of time, probably about 40 minutes at most, and I had the radio playing ever since I started, and I had the heat blasting. It was a cold day, and that's when it shut down, and I think that's when that happened. So I think when I'm actually, because it should be constant volts, okay? 12.3 volts is what I read, 12 volts constant. But I don't know if playing the music louder will increase that voltage. So what I'm going to have to do is, it's going to be kind of difficult to do, but I'm going to have to lock this radio somewhere and then take my multimeter and test as I'm increasing the volume and see if that's the culprit. But the solution, honestly, I have no idea what can be done, because these aftermarket connectors, you know, I'm pretty sure this comes with the radio, so I don't know how to engineer around that, what the solution is, but at least I can find the problem by trying to do this. So I won't be recording that part, but I will record the results after the fact. Some pointers for aftermarket install and update. The previous video I took off the dashboard. and I had the radio working off video yesterday. I took it out this morning again because the LED display would show and it would like glitch out, so I just took it out. And the culprit ended up being the power cable. The housing is melted. You can see it's deformed from excess of heat. I was reading 12.3 volts. Okay, I end up ordering another harness that's for this radio, and then an aftermarket harness too. So both of these over here connect to the stock harness. Okay, I'm not sure how this is going to work, because I mean, obviously there's something that's causing this to melt. So if I get another one, it's probably going to do it again. Not sure if it's too many amps. What I did notice again, when I was driving for like 40-50 minutes in the winter last year, I had the heat blasting. It was cold out, and it gets hot in here, and there's also heat generated from this radio. I had the radio playing for like 2 minutes, and it generates excessive heat. That's why this is designed the way it is, to dissipate the heat. But I mean, what can you do for that one pin? You can see that very bottom second pin has a melt going on from excess heat. So you know, I don't want to put a new radio harness on here and then put it back on. I have to do it all over again. Another thing too to point out with this car is this instrument panel. Okay, so I don't know if you can really see it now, it's daytime, but there's a light that is actually, you know, lighting up the display, and this here is going to increase your brightness and decrease your brightness, which I'm assuming increases and decreases the voltage. So I don't know if you can see it now because it's daytime, but this is supposed to get up a little bit brighter, and then it's supposed to dim out. Okay, you can see obviously like the bottom, but the top display is supposed to be like that as well. When I put the radio in, I'm assuming it's taking some of that power away, and I can see that there's dark spots in the instrument panel that is visible. But when I just took it out just now, it just disappeared. Okay, another thing too with this aftermarket radio is, and I just think it's just a voltage decrease, period. Anytime this is like below here, the radio just cuts off. So I'm assuming that it will go underneath 12 volts, and that's what the verdict is with that. So just some pointers, some things to look at if you are installing aftermarket radio, not only in this 01 Buick, but any type of GM car or any car that you can work on. Just some things to consider. So I'm sure there's some engineering around for that. Am I going to go that deep into it? Probably not, but I just wanted to point it out.